Let me bring into the conversation Richard Fuller. Richard is the Conservative MP for North East Bedfordshire. Richard, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Richard, welcome to the programme. I'm well, thank you, Richard. Listen, lots of things to digest with this announcement, but overall, what's your feeling with this scheme?
Disappointment, and I'm not persuaded that it's the right answer. I think the decision today was the wrong decision to progress with East West Rail, and you can hear the disappointment, the obvious disappointment, which I share for those who are most directly affected, their house, their home, their land, their communities. But for the rest of us, we've got to worry about what strings are attached with this project from East West Rail.
I was going to say, it's not your constituency, but it was once your constituency, so you know it well. But knocking down homes in Bedford, Richard, to make way for the route, people are saying, was that really necessary?
Well, some of us were saying for a long time that when people said that 4 tracks north of Bedfordshire was a realistic proposition, were really, I won't use the word misleading, well, I have just used the word misleading, but it really was never credible, because if you'd had 4 tracks, only 4 tracks, that would mean significant disruption on the mainline train into London, and I don't think commuters would have fancied that at all. And so because it has to be 6 tracks, that means that houses in the Poets area of Bedford are now facing the future that they are. But that was always likely to be the case. I'm not a railway engineer, but it was sort of pretty obvious to me.
That's interesting you say that, Richard, because the Liberal Democrats and the current Labour MP argue they were for, I mean, the Lib Dems very much for this East West Rail project, but apparently they weren't aware that homes would have to be demolished.
Well, yeah, I can't speak for them. I did see that the Member of Parliament for Bedford, the now Member of Parliament for Bedford, has now come out against East West Rail, and I welcome that. I think as it becomes clearer to everyone what this project entails, people will start to join with those of us in North Bedfordshire who've been asking serious questions about this project for the last couple of years, and there's still a tremendous amount of uncertainty about the railway. Obviously, there's no business case again. I know that East West Rail's CEO says that she doesn't need to present one, but the problem here is that as you think about a railway, how many people use it, the business case gets worse, the revenues get. The thing that I worry about is that the price will start to be made up by more and more housing being delivered. And that was the original plan of the National Infrastructure Commission. It was for 1 million new homes. And when you look at the pressure on public services in our area already, for doctors getting a GP appointment, school places, and then you think about more housing, that's very worrying. Just to give you a statistic, if you look at the census, 2011 to 2021, just that 10-year period, across the country as a whole, there was a 6% increase in the number of households. In my constituency, in North East Bedfordshire, that wasn't 6%, it was 21%, already 3.5 times the national average. So the strings attached to East West Rail can have real consequences for all of us living in North Bedfordshire and in Bedford.
Okay. Trying to find the positives here, a new station at Thamesford, some say that's a good thing.
Yes, so it's an interesting additional tweak that East West Rail have done. There are some other issues too. I mean, to the credit of East West Rail, they did go back, they did reappraise all the routes, they did look at alternative technologies. It's very disappointing they've stuck with diesel. It would have been nice if they had looked at the affordable, very rapid transport proposal put forward by some learned people in Cambridge. I think it would be much better than diesel if we'd have this route. And they have knocked 20%, they say, off the cost of the railway, which will be potentially good news to taxpayers. But of course, we need to see the details, and that's not yet available. For the people in Thamesford, of course, the railway doesn't come without strings attached. And I think buried in the document talks about the opportunity for a new community in Thamesford.
I did mention that earlier. People have been reacting to that. Richard, there is an argument that this project doesn't actually do much for the wider rail network. It only serves those between, if it goes ahead, it will only serve those between Oxford and Cambridge. And apparently it will still be quicker to go into London if you say you want to go from Birmingham or Cambridge, or Birmingham to Cambridge, rather.
Yes, I agree with evidence. I think just talking to people in Wilden that's now going to be very deeply affected by this village in the north part of Bedfordshire, or just talk to people who live in the periphery of Bedford, the idea of driving into the town centre, finding your way to Ashburnham Road, to park your car, to get on to get to Cambridge, to get on a train to get to Cambridge, compared to alternative, just doesn't seem like much of a saving for them. And that's why I've been arguing that there is a greener, better alternative, which to look at more communities closer to the academic centres in Oxford and Cambridge and Cranfield, where you really can get that mix of home and work living, where you can get a modern transportation system that's greener, that puts more emphasis on what we call active travel, cycling and walking. But that's the way you unlock real growth. And I will continue to push that. And I'm very pleased to see that the new mayor of Bedford, Tom Wotton, is with me in lockstep in opposition to this. I hope he continues. I know he's having discussions with East West Rail. I hope he continues his opposition. We now sound like we have new recruits to that cause from the Labour Member of Parliament, from Labour councillors. I'd be very pleased to hear the Labour group on Bedford Borough Council come out against, and then perhaps we can change the council policy. And when that council policy changes, that can have a real effect on what the national government support is for this project.
Richard, we'll talk soon. I'm sure of that. What would you say to those residents in Bedford, especially those in the Poets area, who've received letters today telling them their home is at risk?
Well, my heart goes out to them. It really does. And I'm very, very, very sorry. And I'm not their MP, but as the MP for North Bedfordshire, I shall continue asking serious questions about this rail project and pushing for a greener, better alternative so that their homes can be saved.
Richard, thank you. Richard Fuller, the Conservative MP for North East Bedfordshire.